Is this you guys' first time being on a podcast?
She's actually done one
I've
before.
been on one for Restored by Laura
No
before,
way.
but this is
It's my
his.
first. Yes, that's right.
Nice. I love it. I love it. I love the duo, man. Because you guys are married, right? Yeah.
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 Sweet deal. You guys have any kids?
No, not yet. Not
No
yet. We're
kids.
like, we're
Yeah.
still young. It's okay.
Yeah.
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 We have
Oh
time.
yeah. No, I love it. Yeah.
Honestly,
How
this
how how old
this
are you
was what we
guys?
wanted to do before we had kids. Like we wanted to do some sort of
Yes.
Airbnb thing, get
Yep.
that
Yep.
down pat, figure out how it is, and then we want to have kids.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm 27 and he's 28.
Oh, okay, cool. Heck yeah. See, that made me
Yeah,
feel better. I love that you said we're still young because
that's right.
I know, I mean, there's just a lot of people in my network and community and like, sometimes you find these like 19, 20-year-olds in real estate. You're like, "Oh my gosh, dude. If I
Yeah,
was,
Wow,
I
gosh,
was-
I know.
dude, right? Freaking 20 years old doing real estate. Oh man,
yeah,
life would be
Good
yeah.
for
totally different."
them.
Yeah, I know, right? So, yeah, so I'm 31. My wife, we're both actually the same age, both 31.
Okay.
So, yeah, we're definitely right in the same demographic. So it's super awesome. Well, man, I won't take up a lot of you guys' time. I am just super honored and just excited to hear about you guys' journey. I think what you guys are doing is I mean, I know it may sound kind of odd, but it's just like you're doing all the right things in
Mm,
the way of just like working together as a couple. Not that everyone has to work together if you're married, but just the fact that you guys are working together in this opportunity, right? Where it's not just like
Yeah.
one person trying to do something, the other one's like, "Oh, I don't know, what's going on or
Yeah.
whatever." Like
Yeah.
there's some synergy and some like
hmm
um, you know, uh um connection in the sense of like, hey, we're on this journey together. These are our goals together as a couple, and we're gonna work towards that as a couple, which is great. And then just entrepreneurs, you know what I mean? Like just
Yeah.
getting into that space and obviously the flipping the furniture and then getting
Yeah.
into the real estate. And I mean it's like awesome to see. So I
Yeah.
when I heard you guys are buying your first now I want to make sure I saw that it was your first Airbnb. Is it also your first like investment property,
Yeah.
rental, whole nine yards? Okay, so
Yeah.
yeah, perfect. So it's like your
Mhm.
first investment property, first
Yeah.
Airbnb. And so I'm like, oh, you know, I've been in for a couple of years and
Yeah.
other people that I know that have been in for a while. And like it's definitely, inspiring and helpful to hear someone who's been in for a while and whatnot. But it's also
Yeah.
great to just, get people on that like, dude, this is like day one for us. This is like our
Yeah.
first
Yeah.
like thing we're doing. And it's just so cool because it relates to people who are trying to get in as well. So
hmm
anyway, no crazy like, hey, here's our set of questions and agenda. I'm very
Right.
just like, hey, let's just have a conversation.
Yeah.
Let's talk. I'd love to just know really even about you guys. Like, what were you guys doing really even before the furniture, before the real estate?
Mm.
Like, who are you guys even before the entrepreneur space? Or at least, I don't know, you maybe have done other entrepreneur stuff, but at least before the furniture and like the real estate. Like,
Yeah.
who were
Yeah.
you guys?
For it.
So a lot of this started because we were both in business school at Clemson. So I think both
Right.
of us already like have more of a business mindset. So I have a degree in marketing and he has a degree in accounting. So that honestly has stewarded us super well for even
That's
now.
literally amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Even though, so I worked at a marketing agency for a couple years before I started doing my own business. And I didn't even really realize that it was going to help me so much, but it did like just give me a knowledge for, I was doing like um SEO and like
Mhm.
Google campaigns, Facebook
Yep.
campaigns. I was doing all of these like internet marketing campaigns that now I'm like, oh wow, this is actually like so helpful for me to know for my own business and just having the background of like how marketing works. And then he is like the numbers side, so he works still full time in accounting. And
Right.
so we're like we wanted to be very unified with this whole process. So I think it's worked out really well and we've like been able to be unified throughout the whole thing. Like I think probably one of the things that's been difficult is like there is a really long journey before you get to this day one kind of like renovations process. There's so much that like came beforehand for
Oh
honestly
yeah.
probably the last 2 years
We're
of
gonna get into
us.
that too.
Yeah, like thinking, planning, can
Yeah.
we afford this? Is now the time to buy? What exactly do we want to do? But yeah, I mean, like truly going back to college, I'm so thankful that both of us went with business majors because just
Yeah.
being so general, I think helped the way our mind works.
Yeah. And I feel like since she does all the marketing, I do like accounting stuff. I do all the numbers. She doesn't know much about the numbers.
No.
And I don't know much about the marketing. Like I
It's
don't
the
know how to
perfect
make
relationship, man. That is like the
exactly.
number one reason why partnerships fail is people get into partnerships because there are like exogenous reasons on why you like connect. Like, oh, we both like golf, or we both like,
Yeah.
entrepreneurship, or
Yeah.
we're married, so let's just get into bit, but not
Right.
understanding each other's strengths and do they like conflict or they complement, right? And you want
Yeah.
to it's really important to have roles and identify those roles and hopefully they complement each other and not conflict. Like,
Yeah.
imagine both of you guys are all about the design and the
Right.
marketing and
Yeah.
or
Yeah.
both of you guys are about the numbers and getting so it's like
Yeah.
absolutely amazing that, you guys have
Yeah.
found that. That's awesome.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
I think it's been cool to see like before we even had these dreams, we both really enjoyed one, just like Airbnbs in general. We love traveling. We love anytime we go, like hotels good and all, but like we want to find a really unique
Yeah.
Airbnb stay.
Oh yeah.
And like that was something we found out when we started when we got married like about 4 years ago.
Mhm.
And she took me on a trip for my birthday in 2020. We stayed in a
Like a
tiny,
month after we got married. So
right,
like
yeah.
immediately we were like
Yeah.
traveling.
It was like a
That's
tree
amazing.
house, sort of like a tree house, like studio apartment, 400 square feet or whatever, maybe even 300 square feet, in Columbia. And I like fell in love with it. I like got obsessed with it from that moment on. And I was like, let's do this someday. And yeah, I think it was something that I really enjoyed, but I think what was really cool is she also really enjoyed that as well, the hospitality aspect of it.
Oh yeah.
We both really enjoy like unique design and stuff like
Yeah.
that. So I think it's been cool that like it's organically grown into something we
Yeah.
both really enjoy. And it
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
if it was just one of us that really enjoyed it, I think that would make it more difficult. But I think that goes to show that like the Lord like made this for
Yeah.
us because like we
Yes.
both align so well
Oh yeah.
on these desires. So that's been cool.
Yeah. No, I love that. And I always tell people one of the worst things you can do is become really successful at something that the Lord never called you to. You know what I
Mm,
mean? A lot of people
yeah.
wonder why and how am I able to do all the things that I'm doing? And I tell them, look,
Yeah.
honestly, I don't feel like overwhelmed and stressed because I'm not
Mm,
striving and like hustling to do what I'm doing. I am being led into these things, right? And
right.
so, the
Yeah.
Lord will never bring you to a place that He hasn't already prepared you for that you wouldn't be able to handle, right? And so,
Yeah.
but what happens is we muscle our way through things because of comparison. We see someone doing this, we see something, we just want to make it happen and do all these things. And maybe it's just not your time to be there, right? Maybe it's not for you. And if it's not for you, I don't want it. You know what I mean? And
Yeah.
so, anyway, you guys, I don't know if you know, like faith is everything for me. So I love to hear it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Us
That's what
too.
you guys are. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's great. That's great stuff. So, so let's get into some like real nitty gritty things too. So, like, you guys graduated. When did you? So you guys were in Clemson together. And then you guys graduated, and then just take me like we're gonna get really like because people like to know kind of details, really how things happen.
Yeah.
So you guys graduated. Did you buy a house right away? Did one person already own a house? Like did you guys were renting? Then you end up buying a house. What was kind of the next steps in the journey after you got married, and what was
Yeah.
going on after that? In terms of
Yeah.
work and life and all that stuff.
So we graduated in 2018. I went to grad school downtown Greenville for accounting for a year, and then she graduated like a semester after. But anyways, we both moved to Greenville around 2018, 2019. Lived separately, rented different places until we got
Dang.
married until in November 2020. But we bought a house April 2020. Actually, put in an offer
February. We put in
February
an offer in
2020.
February.
Wow.
So before things got crazy, right?
Literally
Nice.
right before.
And we were like, gosh, this house is a stretch money wise. It's like right off of Wade Hampton near Bob Jones. And we're
Wow.
like, goodness gracious, this is so much, but like, you know what? We're just gonna do it and we'll make it work. And obviously it's worked out very well. Our mortgage payments are like super cheap compared to what
Wow.
we pay
Yeah.
now.
What it would have been
So
now.
that's
That's
like, I mean, that's
crazy.
like a blessing that I'm like, man, looking back, it's like we would not be able to afford this house now. So
That's
that was
amazing.
really cool. So, anyways, we got that house in April. I moved in. I rented it out to a roommate until we got married.
Nice. See, that's a
So
smart deal, by the way. I don't
yeah,
think people realize obviously as believers, the goal
Right.
is to be married, then live together. But then the
Right.
Yeah.
challenge is,
Yeah.
it doesn't mean you can't take opportunities and get creative with that, right?
Exactly.
Like maybe you're
Yep.
not married, but you guys want to have a house, and there's an opportunity and you're like, dang
Yep.
it, we can't buy this and live together. So we just went, no, like, dude, one of you, somebody buy it and then rent it out until you get there
Exactly.
and then have the
Help pay
house.
our mortgage.
Yeah, I
Right,
mean,
exactly.
me and that guy like split the mortgage, so it was like perfect for me because I'm gaining equity and all that. But
Yeah.
Wait, so let
anyways,
me let me ask you though. So where did that mindset come from, right? Is that just a general, like, your parents encouraged you to make sure you bought a house as soon as, because not everyone thinks that way, right? A lot of times they'll rent and rent and rent
Yeah.
and rent for a while, and maybe they're kind of a little nervous to buy a house. It seems like you guys are already on the mindset, hey, we're buying a
Yeah.
house,
I
we're gonna
think
rent it
this
out.
story actually goes way far back for him because his parents, well, actually, both of our parents owned rental properties growing up.
Nice. Wow.
So we were already introduced to it from them. And then he and one of his friends in high school started their own t-shirt company. So I think
Oh,
he's
okay.
just he's very he just has an
Opportunistic.
entrepreneurial spirit.
Yes, entrepreneurial. You see
He can't help
opportunity.
it.
Yeah,
But
no, I love it.
his okay, yeah, it goes even further back now that I'm realizing it. And you could tell your own story, but his dad's side of the family immigrated to America from Holland, and they started a garden center company, probably back in the 50s,
yeah, somewhere around
Wow.
there.
1950s.
Yeah.
And Tennessee. And so his dad and siblings all worked for the garden center growing up. And then when his parents didn't want to own it anymore, they passed it off to the children and created multiple locations. So
Wow.
it's just literally in his blood
Yeah.
for generations.
Yeah. And my
That's
mom
crazy.
she's a pharmaceutical representative, so she's a salesman. So,
Yeah.
I think, and then they had they were on Airbnb in like 2010 before it was cool, right? They were
Yeah.
That's
renting it
crazy.
out.
That's awesome. Yeah, same
And
for my wife and I, dude. Early on. When the
yeah.
Yeah.
I think
Um,
when the Super Bowl came to Atlanta, that's when we actually started our first
okay.
Wow,
Airbnb.
cool.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it was an idea where I was like, honey, I feel like, because obviously if anyone sees kind of my remodels and whatnot, I'm all about
Yeah.
design and interior design. I do all of my designing and remodeling. And so, our apartment was cute, we did some
Right.
stuff
Yeah.
really pretty. And so I'm thinking like, there's no way people wouldn't rent this apartment. It's super cute. I mean, we did an awesome job, etc. And so, the Super Bowl was coming to Atlanta, and that's where we're from,
Yeah.
Georgia. And so I'm like,
Mm,
yeah, let's just do this. So we literally, set things up, take some photos, figure out how to do a listing and all that stuff, put it on
Yeah.
Airbnb literally the very next night. We put on Airbnb probably somewhere around like 9, 10, 11 o'clock at night. We were up late doing the whole listing. When we woke up the next morning, it was booked out for the whole month.
Yeah.
And
Wow.
yeah, right. That's what we did. That's what we
That's
said too.
crazy.
We're like, this is amazing, but
Yep.
okay, where do we live now? So,
yeah.
because
Yeah.
our apartment was booked for the whole month, so it was great. So we didn't really make any money because we just saw that as like a proof of concept and just an opportunity because it was booked for the whole month, but now we had nowhere to go, nowhere to
Yeah.
live.
Yeah.
We had to
Yeah.
move so people could rent there. So we just
So,
bounced around to different Airbnbs for like the next.
Oh my gosh.
wow.
Yeah,
Okay. Yeah. But you learned that it worked really well.
Yeah.
exactly. Yep.
So,
Yep.
okay, real quick to answer your previous question, I think we didn't, when we were dating, we were like, I don't know that we didn't even consider buying a house like immediately. But
Mm,
then, I don't know, opportunities just arose. Like
yeah.
we had enough money. Laura, I did not save money in high school or college.
Yeah, I was gonna say, where did that down payment? Because anyone that you buy a house,
Laura
you can have
did
some money.
save a lot. So that was like all her,
Interesting. Okay, good.
which is
And Laura,
great.
let me
And
ask
then,
you, where were you saved? Was that money just being saved from working? Were you working? Where were you
Yeah.
working?
Yeah.
Oh, that was that
I
agency that
so
you were.
I worked in high school at a yogurt shop, and
No
then
way.
yeah, I babysat, and
Oh
then
my
my
God.
cousin had was working for a marketing company, and they were contracting out people for very basic work. So I was 16, 17 doing work for a company. And so I just have always been a side gig person.
and
Yeah,
you're
but
still
but
doing
you
it now.
saved all
Yep.
that money of side gig, especially as a young
Yeah.
person. You're
Yeah.
usually spending that money, side
Yeah,
gig money. You're like, I have no responsibilities. Like, dude, I'm gonna
yeah.
buy this. I'm gonna do
My
that.
dad is a penny pincher, and
Ah, that's cool.
that taught me basically how to be smart with your money. It is okay to enjoy your money. It is also a gift, but we are given the gift and we need to steward it
Yep,
properly. So
absolutely.
I was I think, yeah, my parents taught me how to tithe early on too. And I think I just had a really good mindset of what money is, and it's not all for me.
That's so funny. I think it was destined for you to marry an accountant in there.
Yeah, yeah.
You're like
An
looking at, oh,
accountant,
you're an
though.
accountant. Ooh, yeah, okay.
Yeah.
I know
I'm an
money. I
accountant,
understand
but
money.
I like to spend as well,
Yeah.
which is
Yeah,
good.
yeah. That was me,
You wanna
man.
make it. Yeah.
That's me. And so it's funny because a lot of, and I want to get into even, obviously, we'll dive into the real estate stuff as well. But I think this is important because a lot of people don't understand. Um, Everybody has an ideology about money. And what people don't realize is if they feel like they're not where they want to be financially, and obviously everyone has room to grow. I mean, even me, I want to do more and more, but let's
Of
just
course.
generally say from the aspect of you don't have a life of freedom or financial freedom, or you just don't feel like you're struggling financially. It is nothing other than a mindset about money that causes you to struggle with it
Mm,
on a spiritual level and on a practical level. And so biblically, wealth is a spiritual concept. Wealth is a spiritual concept. The enemy, the Satan did not create wealth for us. God created wealth for his people. But what happens is, especially for Christians and believers, is we, through the church and just do different things and misinterpretation of the Bible, we think that being poor is like more holy. And that's actually not true. God actually created abundance
Yeah.
for everyone. And we
Yeah.
know this because in Genesis, right, God put Adam and Eve in the garden. And the first commandment that he actually even gave Adam and Eve was in the garden, thou shalt freely eat of every tree.
mm,
Freely in every. That sounds like a lot of abundance to me. Everything is free.
yeah.
Yeah.
But then he said of the one tree, right? And now we're kind of maybe going down in a tangent of the first fall of man, right? Where Satan got Eve to focus on lack, right? And so there is this sort of experience where the enemy wants us to, number one, focus on lack, and then whatever we focus on becomes what we experience, right? Whatever you focus on most, that becomes your reality and your experience.
Yeah.
And so if
Yeah.
you focus on not having and lack and what you don't have, then that's going to be your experience. But God actually wanted abundance. He wants abundance for his people. And so it's not about money is the root of all evil, because that's not even what it says in the Bible. It says the love of money is the root of all evil, right?
Yeah.
And so what we should be doing is we should actually love people and not use people and love the money. We should love people and use the money, and then we get to the point where we use money to love people.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so you don't want to figure out how you can just store money and keep it for you, but you want to know how you can, as like as a vessel, you serve others by creating wealth. Because I can promise you, it's one thing when someone's struggling financially and you go, hey man, let me pray for you. Or another thing to be able to write a check. Does that
Mhm.
make sense? And so that's why for me, it's such a huge desire to encourage and empower people to build wealth through real estate. That's just me. I know it might be a little biased. I believe real estate is one of the greatest ways to build wealth. I don't know too many people who've built wealth through cryptocurrency or who've built wealth through, stock market, or built
Right.
wealth through, anything. Then real estate is like where you build true wealth, which is also biblical, and I don't need to get into all that.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
anyway, the reason I'm bringing this up is because I can see that there's a lot of connection to the mindsets of where you guys learned money, and that will also shift as well. It'll grow, because even the idea of saving money. See, I always tell people, if there's a place you want to go, the reason the reason you're not there is there's something you don't know, right? And so whatever it is that that you don't have an information that will get you to that place, if you already had that knowledge, you would be there, right? If you could act on it. And so that's why learning is important, right? Wherever you want to go, there's just something you don't know necessarily yet, or you're not operating and acting on that. And so what I mean is, it was powerful for you to understand saving money because it allowed you guys to take advantage of the opportunity where you are right now. But one of the things to learn is you cannot save your way to wealth, right? Money is not designed to just be saved and to be sitting. But the wealth, I know they don't save money. And I know people go, that doesn't make sense. Of course, some money and all this. No. So the wealthy people I know, they invest money. Now, here's the thing. It doesn't mean that wealthy people don't have a lot of money in the bank. Because see, I can create a business, or I can create high income and have 300 grand in the bank, $480,000 in the bank, because of the business and the income that I'm creating. But it's not sitting there to be saved. It's then now invested to be multiplied, which is basically God's. That's the math of the kingdom, is multiplication.
Yeah.
Be people multiply, right? Not it's to multiply. Anyway, I digress. I can go on and on and on, but
I love it.
The mindsets are amazing, and so you had that mindset of you saved some money, you guys were able to buy. Even was that experience? I'm curious too. Even that experience, buying your first house, because there's a lot of things people don't realize when they're buying their first house that people don't talk about, right? Like the closing cost what all is involved in closing costs. You think, oh, I only need 10% or 20%, but then there's all these other fees that you don't realize. You're like, oh,
Right.
I know how to pay for that. Was it, or did any of that happen, or were your parents able to kind of just guide you through all of that?
I mean, yeah, I can't remember that being like a massive like thing. I mean, I know there was like the closing costs and stuff, but I think we just kind of, you're like, you know what, we just gotta we have the money, and we just, I don't know. I don't know that we pay that much attention to like the little small details like that. I know
Yeah.
that's important, but like looking back, I'm
We
like,
were so naive though that
yes.
like I actually think it benefited us. Like
Right, right.
Yeah.
I was 22
Yep.
and he was 23 when we
That is
put in the
crazy.
offer,
And
which is
yeah,
crazy.
I think
Okay, so you guys are like in your later 20s now. So you guys bought this house when you were like in your early 20s.
Yeah.
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 Oh
And
my
yeah,
gosh,
I
that is
think
amazing.
this ignorance and naivete that we have
Yeah.
right now, even like, is probably good for us, because
Yeah,
we're just
yeah.
getting after it. We're
Yeah.
not
Yeah,
worried
dude.
about, you know. And I
That's what
think
it
it's funny,
takes,
like
man.
older people, like our parents are, you
Yeah.
know, they're like, they're asking all these questions. We're like, we'll figure it out, you
Yeah, we'll
know.
figure that out, man.
Yeah,
Yeah, I
so
love that.
This
Everything is
is
figure
gonna be
outable.
hard.
we're
We're
like,
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
oh, okay.
yeah,
Yeah, exactly. I love that. Yeah, man, that's the approach to life. You know, I'm a very, maybe not everyone's like that, but I'm a very jump and then build my wings on the way down type of guy. You know what I mean? I'm like,
yeah,
I'll figure it out, man,
Yes.
as I'm going, you know.
yeah,
Some
Yeah.
people are, aim, fire. I'm a very fire than aim, because I believe
Yeah.
the best way to learn is by doing. You know, you can sit
Yeah.
there and kind of read and like listen to all these different things, but like
yep,
the best way you're gonna learn something is you do something. You go, oh wow, okay. That, I mean, just
yep,
Mhm.
experience is like the
100%.
best teacher. So let's, okay. So we move forward. You guys bought that house. You guys have been living there. You were working for a number of years and whatnot. Well, let's kind of jump into sort of the entrepreneurial journey of like you guys' dynamic in life, right? Like hubby's obviously you're working your accounting job. I'm assuming you got that accounting job. You're obviously like looking at maybe opportunities whether you want to work, or maybe you were working, but then you got into the flipping the furniture, and did that become
Yeah.
now more of a full-time thing, and you're not doing the work anymore and you're doing furniture flipping? Like, what's kind of the journey of how that worked?
You got it.
Well, yeah, she got into flipping furniture, I don't know, what, 2022?
2021.
Okay,
Late
2021.
2020.
And so this is a cool story here. So she got into that, and then at some point around 2022, one of our friends, they own a house in Augusta, Georgia.
What?
Of course,
That's
near the
amazing.
Masters,
Yeah.
and
That's
they
awesome.
rented out their house every week for the Masters on
Oh,
Airbnb, and they were
that's awesome.
making, you know, bukus of money.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
And we were like, at that time, we were trying to buy some land in North Carolina or something, and we were like, we're going to build a house in North Carolina, do all this. Our financial advisor was like, that's probably not the best move, and things just didn't work out with that. I'm glad that didn't work out. But we were like, what if we just posted our house on Airbnb? Both of our parents live here in town, and you know, if it gets rented out, kind of like your Atlanta situation,
No
we'll just go
way.
stay elsewhere.
No
So
way.
that's what we ended up doing.
Wow.
And that is really how we got into Airbnb. So what's
Wow.
cool with Laura's job, you know, all the timing kind of worked out, because she was the cleaner, more or less. I helped her, but let's be honest, like she was definitely the cleaner
Yeah.
for the house. So like all of that extra time that went into like the Airbnb stuff, she had availability for.
Mhm.
And then we were, you know, cleaning the house, packing up a lot of weekends, heading over to our parents, which thanks so much for our parents. We couldn't have done it without them.
Yeah.
So that's kind of how we got into Airbnb. And that like did super well.
Yeah, I was
But
gonna say, let's step back. So let's talk about that. And actually, let me go back to the furniture flipping. First of all, why did you even get into furniture flipping? Did you see
yeah,
something where you were like, oh, I could maybe just make this prettier? Or did you do something in your own home? Or did you hear about furniture flip? Like, how did you even get into that, first of all?
Yeah, it's a total God thing because it makes no sense. I have no background. Like there was no reason that it was like the clear step forward after I quit my job. But yeah, in the fall of 2021, I was like, I cannot do this anymore. Like he was already back in the office because of COVID, and I was still at home, and
Mm,
it just was very mentally hard to be at home by myself all the time
mm,
and being behind a computer all the time, kind of feeling like I was chained to my desk and I like just could
mm,
not leave, could not even like go out to lunch with my mom or something. Like I was like, I don't like the way this feels. And this is probably not good for my health, like to be sitting down at a computer all the time. anyways, over the period of the next like 2 or 3 months, I just started praying like, what do I even like to do? Like
Mm.
I went into marketing at Clemson because two of my best friends chose to do it. So I was like, okay, I'll do that too. Like I just did not really know what I liked to do. I didn't feel like high school really prepared that for me, or even like freshman year of college. But um I just really was praying about it, and I was like, I've like painted a couple pieces in our house before just because we needed to save money. Like, can people actually make money doing that? So I watched a single YouTube video of people flipping furniture.
What YouTube video?
Wow.
And I was like, whoa, they made like $15,000 in 1 month. But
Wow.
they were in like LA.
Okay. I was like,
Doesn't
dang,
make
I'm sure that was like, yeah,
I do
$15,000.
not make that much money. I'm like,
Yeah.
but I was like, okay, and they were doing it as a side gig too. They weren't even doing it full time. I was like, okay, if they can make that much money as a side gig, surely I can make, like, my goal was at least my salary. Like, I don't
Mm.
really care if it's like way more or not. Like, I'd be fine if it's just my salary. So
What was
my
that? Do you
job,
mind me asking what was that number as like a goal, like that you were trying to like each, like was it something you needed to make each month or by
yeah, my like whatever my monthly salary was, I was like, if I can just match, if we don't have to change our lifestyle based on my income, I'm great. Like, I will be
are we
perfect.
talking 5 grand a month, 10 grand a month? Like what
Oh,
are you
I
trying to produce?
Like
was
2 grand.
I was
That's amazing.
24. I was 24 working a marketing job that market, I mean, it's like they hire people purely very young because our
Yeah,
expectation of a salary is
right, right,
very low.
Yeah.
Yeah, it
right.
was like $2,500 a month.
Yeah.
Which I'm not even and don't feel like it's not even about the amount of the salary. It's about the mindset of how to navigate through an opportunity. Like just look at some people wonder like, okay, how am I going to start a business? Like, how am I going to pay for my? Just look at your numbers. Like, what do you need to
Yeah,
cover each month? Kind of like you said, you had the thought of, okay, just so our lifestyle doesn't change, how about I just match or even at minimum like 2 grand a month? You know what I
yeah,
mean? And that sets
yeah,
a goal down. Now you can reverse engineer. You can work backwards. Okay, if I
Yeah.
buy this piece of furniture and I flip it, I make 150 or 250. How many of those do I need to do? And then
Yeah.
how often? You sure what I'm saying? And people just
yeah,
work backwards. So that's amazing. I love that.
yeah, yeah. So I in January of 2022, the company I was at, they basically were like, they had interviews every January. That was like, are you going to stay or are you going to leave? Pretty much. It was called a stay interview. And just
Wow.
basically ask, where are you at? And so I knew I'm either going to have to lie or I'm going to have to quit.
Mm.
And so the whole month I was like trying to figure out what I was going to do. And I was like, I just don't think I can lie about, like, I love this job. I'm so happy. So I quit, and I gave them a 3 week notice. During
Wow.
that 3 weeks, I was training other people, but I didn't have as much work on my plate, so I started flipping
Mm.
furniture
Ah,
just to see how it would go. And my like first piece sold within like an hour or two, and I was
dude,
like,
that is
oh shoot,
crazy.
okay. So yeah, I used
Can
my
we, can we
first
can we
like
pause and just talk about that though? Like that's
Yeah.
amazing. So,
yeah,
like, what
I
was that
probably
like? Like,
undercharged like crazy, but because I didn't know what I was doing. But either way, it just was motivation for me to be like, okay, actually I can do this. It's not that
absolutely.
hard.
Dude. And so tell me about that journey. Like, okay, did you go on Facebook Marketplace? Did you like go on YouTube to figure out what kind of furniture sells the most? Or you just like, screw it, I'm just gonna go buy something that looks kind of janky that I know I can maybe, and then like, where did you get the inspiration once you did it? Like just the process of that first.
Yeah, a lot of it is Facebook Marketplace and just being like, this, the like body of the piece, the frame of the piece, if it looks like it's in pretty good condition, just needs a little bit of love. You can, I mean, there's so much you can do with
So
that.
much you
And
can do.
I think like this sounds like I'm prideful, but I think I just had good style. And so I
No,
knew
that's
kind of
no.
what I was looking for.
Right.
I know, like, our families like have good style, my friends have good style. I know, like, when I go into stores, like, I know like what's selling, what's trending. And I
Yeah.
was like, if I can just make it like that, then why can't I sell it myself? I can
Yeah.
just make
Yeah.
my own version of that for
Absolutely.
way cheaper of what they're
Right.
selling in a store. So yeah, it's mainly Facebook Marketplace, or most of my work now is commission pieces, because I basically have like made a portfolio for
That
myself.
is freaking crazy. Yeah.
So
Well,
I
and I
pretty
want
much
to
do
touch on
that
that.
most of the time.
Yeah, and I want to touch on that in that first piece. What was that first piece? Like, do you remember what it was that you bought?
Yeah.
You know what it is. I was
Yeah, I
gonna
know.
go look it
I know
up.
exactly what it is.
Of course you do.
So it was a small rolling island, but
Oh,
I turned it into a bar cart. So
interesting.
we
No
added
way.
like handles to it. I changed out the wheels. I painted it, and we
Actually,
staged it.
and shout out to our friend Carson, my friend back in Tennessee. He actually bought that, and
Get
so that was
out.
a good confidence
Yeah.
boost.
So, do you mind me? Because again, this is an entrepreneur podcast,
Yeah.
real estate investing, but business mindset, the whole 9 yards. I'd love to know the numbers. So, do you remember what you bought it for? Like when you just paid X for it?
Oh,
What
it
you
was
put into?
probably
And
$20.
he probably
And I
sold it for
sold it.
200.
I sold it for like 100 or
Oh.
$150.
Wow, that is
I was like,
awesome.
this is great.
Yeah.
That is amazing, dude. That's
Yeah.
crazy. And how
I,
long did it probably take to even just kind of, I mean, a couple
well,
hours?
yeah, I still had my full-time job.
I
So
mean, the
I
actual like
still,
remodeling it, or like, yeah, I guess
Yeah.
refurnishing it or refurnishing a couple
well,
hours.
I mean, yeah, as it being one of my first times, it took longer than it would for me now, but probably like 5 hours.
Yeah,
But of
yeah,
course, like paint drying and stuff, it
yeah,
ends up being days, but
yeah.
5 hours cumulative. So
That is awesome, dude. Oh, that is so cool. So you did
it was a
that,
fair rate at the time, I guess.
right?
Yeah.
Yeah, right. Yeah, he got a deal, but hey, he's also part of an amazing story. So that's crazy.
Yeah.
Yes,
Yeah.
yeah.
So that was a proof of concept, right? That's what I call proof of concept. I tell people, look, if it works, it works. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
there's so many things out there where people make money with it, and at the end of the day, you can make money doing anything. If it works, it works. One of my mentors would always say, "It's never the horse, it's the jockey." Right. And
Mhm.
so
Mm.
this was proof of concept. Like this stuff works. You made it happen and you used your strengths. Don't think it's prideful. No, dude. I mean, that's just everyone has a certain like strength and a certain apt to certain things, like
Yeah.
my dad
Yeah.
absolutely has no concept of like design and color palettes and aesthetic, but I do. And so like
Yeah. He's
you just
gifted in other things.
yeah, exactly. He's good at other stuff. So you just leverage your strengths. Everybody has their own strengths. And it's just identifying those gifts that the Lord gives you, and leveraging
Yeah.
that. So then that happened. And so was that like you were hooked and you're like, all right, you're like looking for the next thing. And it's like
Oh
all you
yeah.
can think about is just like flipping furniture.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Tell me
Well,
about
I just felt like, okay, this first piece sold in like an hour. God is so faithful.
that.
I mean, I had no clue what I was doing, but I trusted that this very random out of nowhere, like, to me, that has to be Holy Spirit if I cannot explain where the heck this idea just came
Yeah.
from.
Oh, yeah.
Like, if I'm gonna step out in faith, like I'm gonna believe that this is gonna be okay. So yeah, I did my first piece. I was like, that was so much fun. And then it just was like on
That's
fire.
awesome.
I was like on Facebook Marketplace all the time. There's stuff on the street all the
Yeah.
time.
Well, yeah,
There's
that's what I was going to
always,
bring
it's like
up.
crazy.
So to show like how much of a provider the Lord was in that beginning stages, there was like we'd just be driving down the street. There'd be like a mid-century modern dresser on the side of the street. I'm like,
Crazy.
are you kidding me? This is so nice. I can't believe
Yeah.
someone's throwing this away. And
So
then a
fun.
lot of people would be like, oh, that's cute that you're starting this business. Let me give you this furniture.
I
So
got,
she would just get
I
free
got
furniture.
so much stuff.
Oh
Yeah.
my gosh.
So much stuff for free.
That is
So
amazing.
yes, so the Lord has provided for us in a bunch of ways, but specifically with my business, like
Yeah.
I have been just handed furniture for free for no good reason.
Yep.
I'm like,
That's
sure,
God.
I'm open-handed to all
Somebody's
of this.
moving. Can you come move this? Pick it up for me. I'd be glad
See,
to.
and that's the
Yes.
beauty. And that's why I said, I feel like that's just a testament to you didn't hustle and bustle and
Mm-hmm.
strive to figure out how to start just flipping for like
Yeah.
you were led into. You see how like when you become
Yeah.
successful at
Yeah.
something the Lord calls you to, leads you into, like it's just, dude, all the doors that need to be open,
That's
he'll
right.
open. All the doors that need to be closed, he'll close. You know what I mean? And it's
Yep.
like it's just amazing. That's crazy. So
Yeah.
we'll literally about to get into the real estate stuff, but I just love the whole journey up to this because it's so amazing.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
So what was the launch into kind of who you are now? I mean, you're doing commission work. Like people are like, what does that even look like? Like, who are you now as like the furniture flipping? Is it like, hey, I only do I only do deals that create this kind of profit, or like, I'm only going to do stuff that people will like ask me to do, or like how to, what's kind of the day to day or what it looks like now today?
Yeah, I have been doing so much more commission pieces lately, pieces just that people give me that they want me to do something specific with that
See,
they
that's
had like
cool. Yeah.
previously owned. So ideally I would like to do 50-50 things that I do for myself just for fun and then post it on Facebook or whatever to sell. And then the other half being the commission work. I would say right now it's about 100% commission work
Wow.
because I'm so booked out with people
Yeah.
wanting to do things, which is like such a blessing because
Yeah.
I know I will get paid for it and I know I will get a fair rate and I know I will get it out of my shed and it's not going to
I was about to
sit.
say, because you don't have to, now you just reduced inventory because they're saying, hey, I already have the inventory. Can you just put your magic on this thing and I'll pay for that?
Yeah, the bottom floor of our house that we're on right now right now there's furniture right here.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
Right there, that's just stored. But this is a really pretty room in our house, but sometimes it's just filled with furniture or unfinished furniture. And that's right where people walk into our house.
Yeah.
But
That's hilarious. Are you thinking about potentially having buy a little mini shed in your backyard?
We do, and I need more.
I need more, a bigger shed.
She was just working on our back porch without any coverage at a time.
For 2 years.
Yeah.
I just
Wow, that's amazing. But see, I just want people to hear that. I mean, just because someone could be like, all right, I'm gonna do this tomorrow, and and they expect to have results that maybe you have. But I always tell people, anytime you hear a story, you don't realize you're not starting at day one. Like, where you are right now, just notice what you just said. You were doing this already for 2 years on a back porch.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Dude, you gotta let things develop and grow into that.
Oh yeah. I think that's part of the like portfolio that I created over time as well. Like people now, because of my social media, can see what I can do. And so now like they can even have their own vision of like, oh, I actually have a similar piece in my house. Could you do that same thing for me? But over time, my rates have increased for commission work, very much inspired by him. Otherwise, I would still be at like $20.
Yeah, crank those
prices. Like my wife. Yeah, hubby's like, all right, honey, we gotta jack for this.
Yeah.
The numbers aren't. The math isn't mathing right now. We gotta make this.
Well, I'm like, if you have all she's got like projects that are like months out, and I'm like,
yeah,
I don't know. Maybe I shouldn't say this publicly because your customers are listening. But I'm like, if you got a demand, so like,
it's
you
true.
gotta raise that price.
Dude, but I mean, it's true. If you're gonna have to not be able to do anything for like 5 months, that's more work I'm having to put on my plate that I'm like ready. Like, dude, if you want me to do it, it's gonna be X. I mean, it is
exactly. Yeah. But I think she's been good at like, I mean, I'm like money. But she's like, she keeps the customer in mind, which I think is, a great.
Well, let me blow your mind a little bit here. This might be a little nugget that might change your business even another. All right. So let me ask you this. What's the most you've ever sold in terms of commission, like that commission amount?
Like price was?
Yeah, like what's the highest for one project? Piece? Yeah.
Probably $700, $800.
$700, $800, right? I promise you may not know this. I'll explain to you how you could, and not that and look, it's not about how you feel about someone having to pay more. The way you have to think about it is you are not charging based on the hour. You are charging based on the result. Yeah. And when people want the result, they will be gladly to change over and exchange the money that they have for the result because they care more about the result than the money. And so a lot of times people don't raise their prices because they are focused so much more on the money, thinking that person cares so much about the money. I don't want to charge $1,000 or $2,000. That's so much. I mean, man, they're struggling by, what if they paycheck all the people, if someone wants what they want, they will gladly exchange the money that they have for the thing that they want because they care more about the thing that they want than the money. And so what you wanted to do is you want to create that opportunity. And I know this because first of all, I've created multiple businesses that have done really well before real estate. So before I was a wedding and commercial photographer. I've done a number of stuff, e-commerce business, like food truck business in Atlanta. And photography was a huge career for mine. So I've traveled the world doing photography. I was a destination and wedding photographer. So I traveled to Thailand, Malaysia, Singapore, Mexico. I mean, you just all.
Wow.
I worked for Uber Eats in Atlanta when that was blowing up. I did a lot of their photography. It was a team of 7 of us. A lot of people know me from Netflix on season 1 of Love is Blind. I was the photographer for
No way.
on Netflix.
Cool.
Yeah. I mean, I've done a lot of, and I'm not saying that to be all boastful, but I'm just saying, like, I had to learn the, like, increasing my price, the mindset of a higher price, because even as a wedding photographer, you know, you start at like $1,500
Yeah.
you know, and you hear these people that charge like $8,000 for a wedding.
Yeah.
How the heck? Like, what the $7,000 for a wedding? And it's just a shift of the mindset. And so here's one thing, or 2 things. The mindset that I just shared about how your approach now is you create a result that people desire. And so you are not charging for the amount of money you think they want to let go of. You are charging the result that they desire. Okay.
Mm.
And people will gladly exchange again the money that they have for the result that they want, because you're solving a problem, which is they desire something and they would rather have that thing than the money. Okay.
Yeah.
Second thing is this is actually how you can do it on a practical way. And I know this through real estate, which has been really great because, you know, this actually is involved in everything: how you buy a car, how you buy a house, how you buy real estate. But I love creative finance. And this is something, you know, we'll connect more and more and whatnot and teach creative finance and subject to and seller finance and wraps and all this stuff in real estate. But you could also have a higher price and it'll do 2 things for you. So imagine your highest price right now is $700, $800. There is someone out there who would legitimately pay you $3,000 probably for a piece, or $2,500 for a piece.
Yeah.
But it's harder, like, nah, that's just too much. Like the two,
Yeah.
again, you're charging for the result because of your brand and who you are and the desire. Now, here's how you can make it more affordable for them. It's not me just saying that they'll pay you $2,000 or $3,000. You can finance it out. They can pay you $600, $700 today.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
$350 a month to pay it off. And imagine $3,000, $300 a month. How many of those payments? What you can now start doing is create extra passive income.
Yeah.
A thing that you did once, and you're selling these pieces at a higher price because they're super custom. And yeah, they're a little bit more expensive, but that's because I'm charging for my result. But I'm going to make it in a way that's affordable for you. And so you finance those for these. There's plenty of people that may not have $1,000 or $900 today to give you, but they can give you $300 or $500 and then pay you $300 every month to pay it off. And now let's just work backwards. How do you get to, you know, $5,000 a month? Let's just say $5,000 divided by $400. That's 12. That's 12 people that are paying you $400 a month on a piece that you've done, making $5,000 a month.
Yeah.
I'm looking backwards to how you can legitimately create these little pieces, and they can start paying. They can even pay them off before you do them. So these people where you're out, I mean, they know you're going to finish it, but you start getting those payments already coming in from when those prices. So just years full of just income that's growing. So just a way to think about that. You know what I mean?
Yeah. No, yeah, that's good.
That's why banks are banks. They understand, they understand financing. They are lenders. They don't own real estate, actually. They are lenders. That's the highest level, the 4 quadrants. Robert Kiyosaki, right? Talked about the 4 quadrants in terms of creating wealth and income. You have the E, which is employee, the S quadrant, self-employed, B is big business, and then the I is in the investor, right? You're an investor. So you are in the finance world where you are like a lender. You're lending money. It's the highest level of essentially creating wealth because it's passive. And I'll say one thing about this. That's why when people save money and it sits in the banks are so smart. They understand. We are going to help people and teach them how to just save money, put in the bank, put the money in the bank, put them in. So what most people do is they work hard, 8 hours a day, 10 hours a day, 40 hours a week, all this stuff. You know, most people work hard, and put money in the bank, put money in the bank. How much interest does the bank give you on their money sitting in the bank?
Less than 0.25%.
Yeah.
0.25%, less than 1%. Now, someone, well, yeah, I got a high yield savings account. Okay, yeah, maybe 4 or 5.
Yeah.
Inflation at 7 or 8 or 9%. No. And so the banks know, okay, everyone's going to put hundreds of thousands, millions, trillions of dollars in the bank. Wow, we have access to all this capital. Let's take the same money that everyone's putting in our account that we're going to give them 1% or less than 1%, and we're going to just loan it right back out to them for them to buy cars, for them to buy houses, for them to get a credit card, and then charge 12, 15, 16, 20% on that. So you see, don't do anything. They're just creating passive income from the spread and the interest that they're giving to the interest that they charge for someone just the money in their bank. And so that's also important to take that money out and invest it, you know, when you get to the, you know, concept of like private money and how to be able to buy real estate with, you know, leveraging private money. People that have money just sit in the bank and you can give them 12%, 13, 15. But anyway, just the thought in terms of the
no, I like it.
It could totally like increase your revenue by just a different way of even approaching it, you know.
I love it.
Super short amount of time. So now really quick for the next like 10, 15 minutes, 20 minutes, let's jump into the real estate side. So you guys totally are like you're all in right now. I see your and you guys are like pressure washing and like, you know, different things, you know, cutting down trees. I think, you know, my man was out cutting trees. Now you're about to build a fence. So okay, let's get to it. So how did you guys find this house that you bought for the Airbnb, and how did you finance it, like fund it to close? Was it just a simple, you know, 20% down, 10% down, like FHA or convention or whatever it is? Or
how did that happen? So for the last, I mean, since 2020, when I had this dream of doing an Airbnb, I think for the last 4 years, we're like, we're going to buy a half acre, one acre lot in a mountain somewhere in Marietta, South Carolina, or Travelers Rest, ideally. And we're going to build a really cool modern tiny home. That's what we thought we were going to do this whole time. I mean, we were looking at lands, I don't know, like 6 months ago. And every morning I had this, I had a bookmark. I would just look at land that was coming up for sale. Anyways, we put in some offers, like several different offers over the past several years. Nothing worked out, which was a bummer at the time, but it was all for a purpose, obviously.
Oh yeah.
And how we got here today, and so we never really thought we would be buying a house to renovate and rent out in Greenville. One, because in the Greenville, like immediate Greenville area, it's illegal to do Airbnb. So we were like, okay, whatever. Greenville's not our move.
In the city
but anyways, I don't really know how, like why I started looking in Greenville. I don't really know why. I started to look in Greenville.
You're like, hey, we're in Greenville. Let's just look in Greenville.
And I looked in the areas that were like outside of the city limits.
Yes, because just so everyone who's listening to this, so you can actually operate an Airbnb in the city limits of Greenville, but you have to live in it. So it has to be a shared room. You can't have a standalone Airbnb within the city limits of Greenville. But if you are outside the city limits, you can have a standalone. But so anyway, so you start looking in Greenville and you look at
or if it's a 30-day plus rental.
30 like midterm rental or whatever. But so I was like, okay, well, let's look around like the $200,000 range, like a 2-bed, 1-bath, like outside of the city limits, but still close to town. Let's see. We went and looked at a house in Traveler or like near Furman. Wasn't right for us, but we were like, this is cute. And then I was looking on Zillow one morning at work, and this one came up that we found. And I don't know how many houses or pieces of land that I've sent to Laura or friends of mine. I mean, probably hundreds. That I'm like, this is the one. This is the one. And so this is Laura gets this text on a Friday morning, I think, and she's like, probably like, okay, this is another one that he sent.
It's another one, I just seen it.
And then this is 8 a.m. on a Friday morning or whatever day it was. We're at the house at 1 p.m. Thanks to our realtor, Mary Neal. Shout out Mary Neal. And so we're there looking at the house. So we got there. I mean, really pretty, like arches and everything. It's got a nice like backyard, back deck. We're like, okay, the bones are good. Like, let's like check this out, see if this actually works. I think within the next couple of days, we put in an offer, or maybe the next day we put in an offer. And again,
let's actually step back. So were there like certain criteria that you were like trying to approach specific houses to have that they needed to have, or was it more so just it'd be a vibe like, hey, we'll just kind of know like this is going to be it, let's just check out like what was the approach of even looking?
Location was huge. A huge part of it.
Location. So it's 10 minutes from downtown is where we are.
Nice.
I think like 2-bed, 1-bath, like in that $200,000 range. I think we thought that was reasonable for us, investment property wise.
It's actually a great Airbnb residential in this market. In a lot of other markets, Airbnb shifts a lot. But what I always tell people, the bigger the house you go in the upstate, I actually feel like you kind of reduce the profitability because number one, it's much more to manage. You have a lot more, you got a 4-bed, 5. People think just a bigger house is going to crush it. Not necessarily. I think there's a threshold where it really starts to go actually the opposite way on the chart of in profit. I think the ones that do really, really well are these little tiny homes, these little 1 bed, 1 baths, these 2 bed, 1 baths, maybe a 3-2, if it's done really well. But once you start getting to like, a little bit bigger houses and whatnot, it's just the mortgage payment doesn't make sense. The cost of the house, to clean it the turnover, it just starts to squeeze that because so many people that travel here, you got to think most people aren't traveling in big, like, oh, we got 8 person or 10 or whatever the case. They're like a couple or someone by themselves. They'd rather just do a smaller. And so those things rent out like crazy and they're doing really well. The reason if you get past maybe 3 or 4 bedrooms is when you have a very unique experience. So some kind of like big 3-level treehouse thingy out in like Paris and out. Some kind of like, those obviously because it's an experience, people will pay for them. They'll have events, whatever different things. So great. From just the 2-1. That's actually a good.
And then I think the last criteria was, or at least to me, I wanted it to like something about it to be like cool and unique. I didn't want to just like we could make it cool, but like just like a basic house, I didn't really want. But they're like every arch, every doorway or whatever is like arched.
Yeah, I saw that like inside, right? It's like arched
inside.
Yeah, see,
and then the outside, it had like some brick. It had some chances for like we could put some cedar plank, and then there's a siding. So I was like, okay, we can make that look cute. And then the back deck and everything. So it was just I remember walking in the house we're in right now. I had a feeling about it. You get and I'm like, is that really a thing? Like, I don't know. For us at least. It's been a thing for us. So that's been fun. So anyways, financing, we looked at I looked at a couple of different options. Of course, this was all me.
I didn't do any of this.
She doesn't know what I'm about to talk about, but
I love it.
To be quiet
that's
for the next
that's
5
perfect.
minutes.
That's what it should be.
Exactly.
That's not my job. You take care of that. That's literally my wife and I. So my wife does all the rental stuff. She manages all the communication. And it's the clean, the turnover, all that stuff. I'm the money. I find the deals. I fund the deals. I remodel the deals.
Perfect.
And then I just hand it over to my wife, and she cross pat. I don't even think about that stuff. She doesn't think about my part. It's perfect.
It's a great combo.
It's great.
So I talked to some friends, reached out to actually several people. We ended up going with the 20% down investment property, which is how we should do it. We thought about getting really creative and considering this house that we have as an investment property and then choosing the other one as a primary residence so we could do 5% down. I don't know. Anyways, it was going to be like tricky and maybe a little bit
that'd be a little trickier.
So like, all right, we're just not going to do that. But we ended up financing, doing the down payment with a home equity line of credit, which we got on this house.
Wow, so you did get a HELOC on this house. See, that's how I was going to say. Hopefully that's what they meant. Yeah, that's the good way to do it.
So I don't know. I mean, should I go numbers? People can look this up online. You can look up online.
This is all real estate. It's all about the numbers. I mean, all day I share numbers on everything.
We bought our house for $333,000, which is important to us. 3s in the Bible, that's important. So that's why we bought
that's crazy.
But
the Holy Spirit, God.
Yeah, exactly. So we bought it for $333 in 2020.
Wait, I was like, in 2020. Wait, but didn't you? I thought you guys bought this house. Well, I guess because it's 2024. Dang, it's been a number of years. Time fly. I was like, I thought you bought this house when you guys were like 21, 22.
I'm curious. What do you think? What do you think our house was valued at? No,
oh my gosh, dude!
But
I'm like, I literally just like want to stop the interview. I'm like, dude, you guys freaking this for 3 something, and it's in Greenville, right?
Greenville near Bob Jones. 3 bed, 2 bath,
and it's been like 4 or 5 years now. Oh my gosh, how many bedrooms is it? 4 bed, 3 bed?
3 bed,
2 bath,
and it's like a tri-level house.
So 3 bed, 2 bath. Oh my gosh, it's probably like. You bought for $330. It's probably a little over 400 now, 440, 430.
We got it valued at $520. So,
oh my gosh.
So whatever, it's like the difference in the value of your house minus what you owe left.
What you owe, it's the equity.
Like 280, 290.
Oh my.
So there's a difference.
Okay, guys,
whatever that difference
is. This right. Do you understand? This is why real estate is so amazing.
It's amazing.
It doesn't happen. Stocks or cryptocurrency, like you can buy the most ghetto house of the ghetto and still 10, 15 years later, it's still in the ghetto of the ghetto, but it will absolutely be worth more than it did 50 years ago, no matter what. That is just real estate, period. So anyway, congrats you guys. That's freaking amazing.
Yeah, thanks. So we got the HELOC for $125,000 home equity line of credit.
So
Used 50 of that to put down, and we're
nice.
gonna hopefully do like 25 or 30 for the renovations. And yes, that is a lot of money to have like pay interest payments on. Like we're at like 6.5% the first year, 8% the second, or like from there on out. But the goal is gain equity in this house, cash out refinance, and then pay off that 80,000 all in once. That's the goal over time.
Cash out refinance this house that you have?
No,
The
ideally the
investment property.
Airbnb.
Yeah,
Yes.
the Airbnb. Yes.
So we
Okay.
got that house at 205.
Okay.
So and then the loan amount we have is like 150. It ended
Yeah.
up appraising for 240. So we've already got this
Okay, then
difference
that's
in
good. Yeah.
equity. And
Yeah.
then over time, over the next couple of years, hopefully if it raises to 300,000, I don't know.
Oh, it
And then
definitely
we've
will.
got that difference in equity, cash out refinance, get the 100,000 or whatever, 80,000, pay
Yeah.
off the HELOC, and then here we are just sitting with two mortgages, and
Yeah.
so
Yeah. No, that's how
that's
you
the
do
goal.
it. That's actually how you do it. You take the
Yep.
HELOC. I always tell people you don't want to use a HELOC just to buy something. It needs to be where there's a plan where it gets paid back off. Because
Yep.
the goal is the HELOC, you have to pay interest on it, but you only pay when
Yep.
you use it. So if you use it, you're now going to have these interest payments. But if you're putting it into a real estate deal, whether you flip a house, pay it off, half the net profit, that's how you can do it.
Right.
Based
Yep.
on your own money because it's the bank's money. Or you could remodel and refinance and then pay it off, same kind of deal, right?
Yep.
And so you just got to make sure that plan of what that new value will be in remodeling. Here's another thing to think about. And it probably won't make sense to do it on this house, which is fine. How many square feet is this 2-bed, 1-bath?
About 1,000.
Oh, is it, well, so is it like 9 something about 1,000, or it's actually 1,000, but like maybe
I'll go look real quick.
I think it's right above.
So it may not have made sense for this house, which is totally fine because the layout, it's really depending on the layout. It really makes sense if you can gut the house. Like a lot of my flips, the way I do it is I'll buy a 2-1 if it's 1,000 square feet, because I have learned, and I have to be able to buy it deep enough, of course. But if it's at least 1,000 square feet, I can convert a 2-1 to a 3-2. I've done it. I already know how to do that, and so it's one of the ways to just explode what that new, because you can't create that amount of equity going from a X amount of bedroom and bath to another higher level X amount of bedroom and bath just through renovations. Now you can model it and hold on to it, and it'll still do that. It'll take 3-4 years. But just as you look for more deals, look at potentially you look for motivated sellers, which is what I teach, not on market, but motivated sellers, where you can buy deals very, very cheap. And then you gut it. And I know it's a bigger job, but again, it's a whole process. It's not that it can't be done. Again, I didn't know anything. I was a photographer before I got into real estate. I didn't know. I don't even have, my parents don't even own anything. I didn't have any knowledge of any of this stuff. So if I can do it, anybody can do it. But you basically model it to a 3-2. And if you negotiate with the seller for what it was as a 2-1, and then them being motivated, imagine the spread there. When you get lower as a 2-1, but you already know in the back of your mind it's going to be a 3-2. It's just such a huge. And so now you're able to just do that refinance. Honestly, probably the minute you finish doing the remodel. That's how I do a lot of my flips. But anyway, but still amazing opportunity. Bought it for like, what'd you say, like 205, put like 40, 50,000. You'll be at 150, and then it's a 2-1 and it's in Greenville, outside the city limits. Yeah, I mean, easily. That's going to be a great opportunity to just refinance and pay that off. So, and so you have your mortgage. So you have your HELOC interest payment on it now. And so Airbnb will cover that until you're able to refinance for that 30-year. And what's kind of like what's your mortgage that you're paying monthly on the HELOC right now? What will fluctuate? Because I know next year it'll go up, and it'll kind of like, where are you kind of going to be at? And does the Airbnb, like revenue, it'll support that pretty well?
So after we do, it'll be about, with mortgage and for the Airbnb mortgage and HELOC interest, it'd be like $1,900 a month.
$1,900 for because you took out so the HELOC you use for just the down payment, right? So you're only paying interest on that. Are you going to use the other part of the HELOC to do the remodel? Okay, cool. So you'll have the full 120 something that you're using in total for all of that, plus the mortgage on the house, about $1,900 a month. And you looked at like 2-bed, 1-bath in that area, it'll rent out. What are you guys probably gonna like nightly rate gonna probably be at?
Open like weekends, like 250 or so, and then during the week 200. That's the goal. with that. So
DNA, right? You looked at AirDNA and AirDNA.
actually, I haven't got, it's funny. I haven't gotten into that yet because when we rented out our house right now, like we didn't have any problems with pricing. So I didn't even use that yet. But we actually have someone that just opened up an Airbnb right across the street from us.
Oh yeah,
Like,
yeah.
just listed it. They're really, really nice. And like we've been able to kind of like see how it's going for them, and it's gone very well. So we'll be playing around with the pricing for sure.
Yeah, I would check out AirDNA. Obviously,
Yeah.
dude, you guys, I mean, dude, you're doing your thing, and there's nothing even what I'm about to say that's like a worrisome or anything. But one
Right.
is with Airbnb, it's a little bit more competitive than just like renting out your property, because
Yeah.
challenge is like, Airbnb is kind of like it's a competition game in the sense that, with a rental, someone might be willing to just pay that sort of market rent that you kind of know in that area because they're going to be there for a long time. But for people that are traveling, they have other expenses that are involved in that travel. And so they a lot of times want to just get the cheapest, Airbnb that still meets the cuteness and the vibe and all that stuff. Because some people think that the cuteness alone is going to get them the price, but ultimately you'll find out at the end of the day, people just they want to save on the money when they're traveling because they already have, they're not where they live, so they're spending money on everything, right? You got to spend on food, you got to spend on money on maybe you got a rental car, you got to, there's all these other expenses. So a lot of times, so the challenge with Airbnb is the more that they start popping up in an area, you have, like you said, someone across the street. There's this sort of price game where it's like, the way that Airbnb works is like you have to kind of price a little bit lower to get that deal. You know what I mean? To get that. And so people have sort of seen that their Airbnbs, their pricing that they could charge per night has gone down over the couple of years, just because there's so many more opportunities in order to get that attention. You want to be a little bit more competitive. But the beauty is, if someone's coming to your area and like yours is available, regardless, if another one is already booked, yours is like another opportunity, and so they got to stay somewhere. You know what I mean? And so that's great for you guys as well. But I would use Airbnb to kind of look at, because it shows you, it'll actually show you all the Airbnbs in your area, their occupancy rate, so how often they're booked. It'll show you their nightly rate. It'll show you what these Airbnbs are charging per night. It'll show you, it just shows you all the data, because Airbnb, it's what's called Airbnb. They already have that available. So Airbnb extracting that data, and it's just a really great way to be like, ooh, maybe it's even better. You're like, I thought maybe 205, but you're like, dang, maybe we should actually charge 250. You just get a much more concrete concept of what's going on.
Well, and a reason I believe in Greenville is like, because the city has all these rules, there's like not that high of a supply of Airbnbs. So it's kind of good if you can find that perfect spot right outside the city limits. So
Greenville, the upstate, as you guys know, dude, I live in Greenville right now. I'm in downtown Greenville. Like, dude, it's freaking Greenville. It is going crazy here. So anybody who has an Airbnb, as long as it's somewhere around what you should be pricing, you're not like 200, you're like at 800 a night. Obviously it is ridiculous. You're you're gonna get bookings. It's just people are coming here, they're traveling. It's just one of those cities that's just like on the up and up. Just go.
For sure.
So that's cool, man. So what's kind of the vision right now? Are you doing everything you got yourselves? Is there anything to contract out? Like, we're gonna have to replace windows. We're gonna have to, are you gonna do everything yourself? And what's the timeline on like, okay, hey, we bought it on this day. We're trying to, finish and up on Airbnb at least by X, Y, and Z. Like, what's kind of the goal with that?
Yeah. So I am a tax accountant, and my busy season starts in about 5 days, right? So we're trying to do as much as we can before then. I think our goal is to get it up in February or something like that. But what I'm going to be able to do is going to go down dramatically, like mid-January through April. So I'm like, doing my day job, and then also doing this at the same time.
Awesome.
So anyways, we're doing a lot of it ourselves. The things we're not going to be able to do ourselves, we're going to need some electric work and some plumbing work done. I just don't feel comfortable doing that myself yet. But like,
why that one?
But like painting, building this deck, building a fence. I got a friend. I'm gonna like help him with the labor. I got to do some replacements on the deck. We're gonna remodel the bathroom and the kitchen. Like, most of that, other than like installing the countertop and like that kind of stuff. Like, we're gonna be able to do all that ourselves. So the plan is over the next couple months, do all that. We really are going to focus on like on design in our house, like really cool design,
Yeah.
colors.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't want to feel like you have to give it away, but I don't know. Is there maybe something that, like, oh, this is something we're
Yeah.
gonna do, or kind of
Yeah. So we really like English country. That's
Mhm.
like, is that what it's called?
Yeah, it's English countryside. So the idea is that it'll be like super cozy, cottagey kind
Yes.
of vibes. Like it's a little bit moody too.
Yes.
Yeah.
It has to basically my vision is the photos have to look so good
Yes.
for it to do well on Airbnb. So
Yeah.
therefore the design needs to look very good.
Yeah.
Great
And then
is what attracts people. You got to think when people are scrolling, it's like Instagram. It's got to
Yeah.
be, wow, what is this?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
yeah. And then a couple of cool amenities that we're gonna do. We're gonna do a hot tub for sure.
I saw that. Yeah, that's always.
Anytime we go somewhere, like
Yep.
we're looking for a hot
Sort
tub.
by hot tub.
Yeah. And it's like, I mean, I've heard you can charge like at least $50 more per night for that. We'll see if that works out.
Kill it. They
But,
kill it.
and so hot tub, like super cute backyard, string lights, fire pit.
Yep.
I'm looking into a projection screen in the back.
Oh,
So you hop in that hot tub, watch a movie, watch
Yeah.
football. We'll see how that goes.
Right.
And then we've got a dining room in this 2-bed, 1-bath.
I saw that. You were like, you don't know if you want to.
For
Yeah.
Airbnb, I'm like, a dining room to me is a wasted room.
Yeah.
So we're really trying to make it something super unique, super cool, to move the needle for those bookings. So
Yeah.
our thought is potentially like speakeasy music room, something like that with piano, guitar, like kind of make your own cocktails. We'll provide a little bit of like basic necessities.
Okay.
So we'll see if that works. It may flop, and it may not work, but that's the goal
thing.
for us.
Yeah, that's cool. You just test it out.
Yeah.
What you guys could also do is I'm all about feedback because it's people who obviously stay at Airbnb. So it's a great way. And it's one of the last things we'll touch on and kind of wrap this up about what you guys are doing that's going to help you so much, which people just don't understand. I'm like, I try to, especially like my communities and whatnot, and my mentorships I'm building, like I keep trying to teach people, you got to document your journey. So many people worry like, oh, but I don't know what I'm doing yet. Or like, oh, it's just me painting the wall. Like, do people just want to see the journey, and people help you if they don't know how, right? And so when you document your journey, people, first of all, number one, know that you exist. I mean, think about the fact that we're even connected. The only reason we've been connected is because I saw you guys online. Like we connected because I see what you guys are doing. And that's just me. I mean, imagine all the other relationships that you'll build because you're documenting this journey. So it's absolutely amazing. But what I was going to say on the second end of that is, obviously engaging your audience in that way. Maybe just do a poll or do a reel where you like room and go, guys, what are some options that you guys think would be awesome to have in this?
That's a great idea.
Really good ideas for people who probably go to Airbnbs and are like, oh my gosh, if you guys did X, Y, and Z, that would have been amazing. Like I saw this one place and they had, just to kind of help with the thoughts, the ideas. I think would be really, really cool. But definitely a great idea because especially when my wife and we travel a lot. And I mean, also we have kids now, so it's a little less. But when we stay, to be quite honest, we don't really eat in the dining rooms. I'm really trying to think. We don't really, because most of the time traveling and during the day, we're out and about. So we really out all the time anyway. And if we are at an Airbnb at night, it's usually the kids are in bed or like my wife and I are in the bed and we just like are eating in the bed or like maybe having like, food trays. That'll probably help.
The
dining, so people have like an actual like legit nice little tray thing to eat. And then like in the living room, you sit in the couch and you have to,
exactly.
So great concept, great idea. Again, and that comes from us traveling, right? You only know this go to Airbnbs. You use the dining room. So that's a really good idea. So but cool, man. Dude, I am just so fired up for you guys. My wife, I mean, obviously I've been buying rentals and Airbnbs and all that stuff, but I love it because I'm actually starting a new one right now as well.
Nice.
My story, I just bought a tiny house. It's actually getting delivered in like an hour. After I finish this, I actually got to go run to the
Congrats.
That's awesome.
Yeah. You'll see. I'll be posting and everything like that. It's going to be in our backyard. So the house.
No way.
The house that I bought has a 2-car garage, and I'm totally gonna invite you guys over. You guys are just the coolest. Yeah, absolutely.
Let's do it.
You love entrepreneurship. I mean, you guys, hopefully you're okay to just be best friends. It's just gonna happen. I'm sorry.
I love it.
We got it's a packed house. Okay, we got 4 kids. We got chickens.
Wow.
We got 20 chickens. I mean, it's just the whole thing. So, anyway, the house that I bought has a 2-car garage in the back, and so I'm
Mm,
converting that into an entire Airbnb little tiny house. So I
Uh,
gutted it
that's
amazing.
already.
awesome.
Yeah, I fully gutted it. It's already framed, and when you guys come out, yeah, I'll show you. It's fully framed out for a bathroom, and then there's a little kitchen area, and then it's going to be open concept. But I'm going to do like these slat wall as a divider for the bedroom. I don't want to actually close in the bedroom, just so it feels a little bit
Mm,
open, and so it'll be
Yep.
like slatted wall. I don't know if you ever seen that, where it's like from
Yep.
here
yeah.
I know what you're talking about. Yep.
through it. Yeah, so that kind of concept. And then there's still actually a little bit even more space outside that on the left side to where it's just open kind of area, and that's where the tiny house that's actually on wheels will be over there. And so the goal is we're living in this is like a live and flip. But we're going when we buy our like quote unquote forever home, right? I mean, we always say
Yeah.
forever.
Right.
You and I, we get led by the Lord. Who knows what forever?
Yeah. Yeah.
But the goal is, and whenever we decide to like obviously move and get into our forever home, we don't have to sell this house. We're just going to turn it into a whole like 3-unit compound, because then the main house
Yeah.
where
I
we
love
live,
it.
5-bedroom, and then the back 2-car garage, that'll be a whole 1 bed, 1 bath, and then the tiny house, it'll just be like 3 little. So
Genius.
yeah, that's another concept. Yeah, the goal is to produce like 7 grand a month on that.
Yeah.
Amazing.
All the just different, on that one property. So another way to kind of look at real estate is when you're buying some of these properties, looking at what is the land size? Are there other things?
Yep.
Yep.
Like they have like a shop garage or 2-car garage or an apartment, all these different things to kind of, because you're already going to spend the money to buy that property.
Right.
Yeah.
The things there to kind of help maximize that revenue. That helps too.
Yeah.
Obviously
Yeah.
not every property is able to do that, so
Yeah.
um anyway, guys, the last thing we'll do is wrap this thing up. Is like, is there anything, two things. Number one, is there anything that you can share with like someone who's young as well? Like, like I said, I'm 31, my wife's 31, you guys are 27, 28. Like, we're in that age where it's like, we're still young, trying to, figure things out and do things, but we're like taking steps and moving forward. And like, just to encourage, like, a lot of the people that are listening are really around that age demographic as well, like that are wanting to get into real estate. A lot of folks that obviously listen are in my community, they're trying to get into that real estate game.
Yeah.
And just even for couples, or just anything you want to share in general, mindset wise, whatever's on your heart. And then the last thing I want to know, is there anything that I could just potentially pray for you guys? But I'll let you guys share
Mm.
what it is that you maybe want to share with anyone. So
Yeah. So I'm a 7 personality, so I want things to happen immediately, like super quick. And I've got these
Yeah.
desires, and I'm like ready to get after it. But I think I wanted all these dreams to come true like immediately. Like in 2020, I was like,
Yeah.
all right, let's go buy another house immediately. And that just didn't happen over time. And a lot of doors closed. And that was a big bummer at the time. But looking back, like, we literally have a house 5 minutes away from our house that we can go to and renovate. Like, imagine buying land in North Carolina. We'd have to drive 3 hours
so
to
amazing.
even, start the process.
Yeah.
So it's just been really cool to look back on how the Lord opened doors, closed doors, how he provided. It's called the Jireh house for a reason, because
I know, I saw
means
that.
provider.
Yeah.
And it's just been over and over again, the Lord has provided in so many different ways, and that's why we're calling it that. So, but yeah, I mean, it's I don't know, it's cliche. The Lord opens and closes doors, but like, he really does, and it's for a purpose, and he knows better than we do. And I have to continue reminding myself that. But that's been super helpful. And like, looking back now, it's like, wow, he really did know what he was doing this whole time. So
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, I would say just being okay with whatever the Lord's plan is for you. And like, for us, it seemed very confusing for a really long time, because we had such a confined mindset of what we wanted. We wanted land, and we wanted to build a tiny house, and we were sold on that for like
Yep.
a year or more. So he was only looking at plots of land.
Yep.
And so that confined us so much to not like open our mind to what else there could be. And so I think it's more like we were like this, walking into the opportunity of like, this is what we want. And then we were like, once we got lots of closed doors, then we were like, okay, what if there's something else that might be an opportunity for us? And then this came along. And obviously it wasn't just like the next day, but it was like over time, our minds formed more to, we got more on God's timeline, more of his vision than just ours, and focusing on ourselves and what we thought was best, because that was not right. It was not right for us. I'm so glad that it didn't work out.
Yeah.
Yes, that's the key. It's so funny. We think what we want is best for us, and it doesn't mean you can't desire things, but what
Yeah.
it means is how can you get to the point where you desire what the Lord desires for your heart?
Yep.
And that's
Yeah.
kind of the key is like, let's focus more on what does he desire, because whatever he desires will always be what's best for you. Some of the things
Yeah.
that we desire, we think is what's best. Imagine the land that you bought in North Carolina. You desire that. Let's say you just made that happen. Look at this opportunity that the Lord just opened up,
Yeah.
where it's just like so amazing, so
Yeah.
incredible. It reminds
Yeah.
me of a picture of this. I always, dude, I love this. It was a simple little picture. You can Google it. You can just type in like Jesus little girl teddy bear. And
Oh,
basically,
yeah.
the
I
little
know what you're
girl
talking
has
about.
this like little teddy bear. She does not want to give up this little teddy bear. And Jesus has this massive, just massive bear behind him. And he's just like has his hand out, like, just trust me, give me that little. She has no idea
Mm,
of that little teddy bear. There's this massive, amazing teddy bear that's going to be coming, that's going to replace what she can't even imagine. But she's
wow.
Yeah.
for what she has in her hand, and she
Yeah.
just hasn't shifted over to just trusting what the Lord will provide. It'll always be better. And so I feel
Yeah.
like always like for any believer, right? Like that's the main thing in our life.
Yeah.
Like, yeah,
Yeah.
we go to church, we love the Lord, we pray all this stuff, but
Yeah.
it's really our walk is like, okay, do we really trust the Lord? And
Yeah.
Mhm.
are we willing to give up the little teddy bear, for the massive one?
Yeah.
That is there for us. So, anyway, man, absolutely love you guys being on the show. You guys, your story is so amazing. It's just so awesome to connect with you guys. I just want to go ahead and I know you guys got a long day ahead of you. It's like Friday. You guys got projects to do. Your Airbnb.
Yeah.
That's right.
So yeah, first of all, like, yeah, exactly. Thank you for even taking the time out because I know you guys are just slammed.
It was,
No, we're honored.
yeah, it was so fun. Really
Oh,
was.
that's amazing, man. Is there anything that I could just pray for you guys, just in the season? And it could be obvious, not obvious, just whatever in general. Would love to just do that.
Yeah. I mean, I would say, to keep the Lord first and each other first, like in all these renovations, I think I'm like, all right, I'm going to the house, I'm gonna do all these things and like keep, keep the our priorities straight during that, but also be able to do, whenever I'm at my day job in accounting, like help me to do that well while I'm there. But when we're like together renovating the house, helps to do that well there. But I would also say like we want this house, like we truly believe like when people walk into spaces, like the spirit is there and like even if they're not believers, like we want them to come into our Airbnb and like feel a sense of like relaxation and like and rest and peace, even if they're not believers again. And like we really want that over this house. And we believe that's going to be the case and we're praying for that. So that'd be
Yeah.
what I would say.
Yeah, I would say I think our culture rewards busyness and we have a lot to do, but I don't want the busyness of my schedule to be something that I'm like, oh, I'm so busy but not be like, oh, but how grateful am I to be so busy because God gave us this gift of the rental property. Like, and also, making sure our priorities are right. Like my quiet time should not suffer because we bought a short-term rental property. Like keeping my priorities straight and our marriage, like even in the last week, we're like, did we spend any time together at all? So we scheduled a date last night or like 2 days ago. You have to talk about what you're doing or else time gets away and it's easy to fill yourself with all the things you have to do.
Oh yeah. Yeah, it's just not the way the Lord, really, if you look at nature, nature never stresses and hustles and bustles, you know what I mean? Like it just flows, you know what I mean? Like a tree is not like stressing to become a tree, it just becomes the tree. You know what I mean? Like birds are all around and it's not like they need a grocery store to get food, like they just provided for, you know what I mean? And that's what it says in right? Like why worry about, these things when the birds are fed and all these things are taken care of, and so anyway, we'd love to pray for you guys right now if that's okay. These things. So Father God, thank you so much for even just allowing for this opportunity to come into fruition with us being able to connect. I mean, I think this is just even a great experience of both of our lives being full. I like to use the word full and not busy, Father, because I think biblically full and productivity is a biblical concept, Father. So I just pray that that these two, they just rest in the fact that yes, they have taken on more responsibility, but it's not even about the busyness. It's just productivity, So I just pray that they feel that they are very productive in what they're doing, but that they're not trying to manage time, Father, because you created time to be consistent. That's one thing for sure. But what we can manage is our activity, Father. And so I just pray that they have a level of intentionality about their activity. And we can already hear that, Father, about them, taking a moment to stop and say, hey, let's schedule, time for us, Father. And so I just pray that you multiply that there, that you just provide in all the other areas, Father, that they need provided for, but that the things that they can manage, like their activity, that just be on their heart and that they move in that, and they steward that, Father. And so lastly, about the property, I pray that for their business, their career, that like they said, wherever they are, that they're present, Father. And so that you have called us, right? I mean, Father, whatever we do for the Lord. So it doesn't matter whether we're a plumber, it doesn't matter if we're a furniture flipper, it doesn't matter if we're an investor or an accountant or a teacher, whatever we do for the Lord, Father. So I just pray that even in their spaces, even outside the Airbnb, wherever they are, that they realize that is their ministry. Father, whatever they're doing, they can do for you, and that's ministering to others. They don't need to be on a stage. They don't need to be a worship leader. They don't need to be anything other than themselves being a vessel for your word, to just pour into others. And so I pray that their home be that experience, Father. Lastly, that when people show up, as they said, that regardless of whether they believe in you yet, Father, we just pray that they encounter you, though. And that they just feel the truth of who you are, Father, because all good things come from the Father, as it says in the word. And so all the good things, rest and peace and joy and comfort, we just pray that they experience and encounter that, and that, I don't know, maybe there's ways that they can connect with them, and be able to just do life with people that end up coming, and not let it even just be a house where people are showing up, but that there's a way to connect and pour into people's lives as well, and just whatever way that you make that happen, if you do or not. And so we just thank you, Father, for all these opportunities, and I just pray continued blessing over their lives and stewarding these things well, and just multiplication, and we love you in Jesus' name. Amen.
Amen. Awesome.
Sweet deal, man. Dude, you guys are the bomb.com. I know you guys are super busy, and I don't care. Even if it's my wife and I just showing up when you guys are painting the house or doing whatever, we'll do it, because we're all about, like you said, it doesn't matter if things are kind of, we're adding more responsibilities and things like that. We still need to take the time to minister and to fellowship and to be involved in, what's doing. And of course, still prioritizing opportunities. I mean, there's just seasons, I don't necessarily think, I don't even think necessarily balance is a biblical concept, because you think about God creating the heavens and the earth, it wasn't that God rested for 7 days and then worked for 7 days. It actually said that he did all these things, and then on the seventh day he rested, right? And so it's like, even biblically, we see that, there are seasons where you got to put in some work, day 1, day 2, day 4, but still want to prioritize what's important, that can give you that energy and allow you to rest, and all the different things, right? And so I just pray that be a season that you guys continue to grow in, and serve one another in. And man, you guys are just the bomb. So anyway, appreciate it. I'll talk to you guys later. You guys have a great day, and we'll chat.
Thank you so much. That was so fun.
Yeah, we enjoyed
awesome. Cool deal. All right, guys. Well, you guys have a great one. We'll chat.
All right, bye.
Bye-bye.